Hello and welcome to the I Am Fearless podcast. I'm your host, Vickie, and man, am I glad that you decided to click and spend a little time with me today. Today's guest is Jennifer James.
Hello.
The Jennifer James. Welcome. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing great, great. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that we were able to orchestrate this.
It's been great just even thinking about this day and being able to kind of share my story and just I love what you're doing. It's amazing.
No, thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. I mean, after the holiday season, it's always tough to try to pull the energy up and out of you to do any more than what you have to do. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're early in the year and it's
very early.
How was your holiday?
It was great. I had a chance to just, relax, focus on family for a couple of weeks, not as much work, but then also strategize.
Yeah.
For what 2023 will be and what it'll bring. So it's been great.
And strategy is what you do best.
Absolutely.
Okay, you guys, let me tell y'all about Jennifer. Let me get out my notes. So Jennifer has over 15 years of experience in empowering business ventures and founders by helping them to gain access to funding. Mm-hmm. So tell me about that. How do you do that?
Yeah, so for me, I started out about a decade ago as an entrepreneur myself. Really started when I was young. I remember literally at the age of around 12 years old, I was developing keychains. I was using yarn it's the craziest thing, but I remember it like yesterday. Me and my cousin, we were making keychains. We made small, medium, large sizes, and we would ride our bikes and go door to door, selling them for 50 cents, 75 cents, $1.25. Had no idea what we were doing. People, out of the graciousness of their heart, would purchase them, and I remember we made like $30 that summer. And ironically, once we made it, we went straight to Payless at the time, the shoe store, and got us some shoes for like when school started. But it was just kind of that idea of being able to have that hustle, to be able to earn and to feel like you're running a business that I didn't realize was developing then, that kind of developed me throughout the years. And I started as an entrepreneur myself. I remember working with an IT firm. I was a project manager implementing health record systems across the globe, and just kind of got burnt out at a very young age and decided that I wanted to do something more. And so I just kind of got into apparel, wanting to getting into the product development of apparel. I'd already done it on the technology side, but I just kind of transferred those skills over and just kind of wanted to do apparel. At the time, I was plus size. There wasn't a lot of plus size options, especially in activewear, athleisure wear. So I just kind of went on a limb and started developing my own thing as a hobby. I was a mom of one at the time, so I just kind of wanted to have something for myself. As you go through different stages as a woman, when you go through different stages in life, I felt like at that time I was losing bits and pieces of me through each stage. So you got married, then you got kids, now you bought a home. You're just kind of losing things, and I just really needed something at the time that was mine. And so I started doing that as a hobby, and then it just turned into this full throttle business.
Wow.
My project had ended with the firm because it's consulting, and I just decided I didn't want to renew it. I didn't want to do anything else. I wanted to see where this could take me, and it took me to my own brand, to me being at New York Fashion Week, to me having a successful brand in retail stores, to me saying, hey, I think now that I have the blueprint, I want to help others, get there. And so it's just kind of been helping founders, entrepreneurs from the technology and product perspective into my own business, into, okay, now that the product is done, they need money in order to scale and grow. So I started going to friends and family. Mm-hmm. Hey, I know this entrepreneur founder needs money, not really realizing what I was doing at the time. But it really all evolved into this venture capital, private equity world that I'm in today. So all of those life lessons kind of brought me here today.
Girl, all from slinging keychains.
Keychains. Over 20 years ago. No, that's not a joke. It's a real thing. Yeah.
That's a real thing. That is a real story. Hearing your story just gave me chills. And then y'all are so grown. Y'all went and bought shoes.
Bought shoes. Used up all the money. All the money.
And
bought shoes.
And I mean, it's no wonder that you got into apparel.
Yes. And I think, and what's funny is I'm not even like a brand specific apparel person. I enjoy the process of taking an idea and taking it through from, I call inception, all the way down to being able to produce and execute.
Yeah.
And it's just that whole life cycle that I enjoy being a part of, taking something and making it something.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. No, I completely agree. I really love that part of business too. It's the idea that only you have, and then bringing it into this reality, so where everybody else can see it.
Absolutely.
Like it's that I think that's the best part of entrepreneurship and the most rewarding part of it too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've had so many people help me along the way with even my brand, needing, understanding how to ask for money, how to create that story, how to get them to believe in you as a founder, to want to give. I mean, there's so many nuances along the way, tricks of the trade when it comes to this. So I've been that person asking for money, and I've also been that person that's awarding money based on, businesses and ideas. And so I enjoy the whole process.
You know what? Hey, as you were saying this, there are so many people on Instagram who who are selling services about like teaching these courses on how to get branding, how to do this, how to do that. As I sit in front of Jennifer knows what she's doing. Like, the people on Instagram, they have nice content and nice colors, but you don't really, but like when you're sitting in the presence of somebody who really knows, they really know. So what do you think about like the courses and that sort of thing? Like, have you ever I don't know, try to lead one of those, or would you ever do anything like that? What do you think about those?
Right. So that's very interesting, because I get asked all the time specifically about women, like, when are you going to have your own courses? Like, what is your brand? Because I'm always attached to other brands. And right now, C2H Capital Partners I'm a partner there. I'm a, chief operation officer there. And I love working in team settings, right? But I do think that at some point, there will be a time when I am catered to a specific demographic or group, helping them along the way. Education is one of my biggest pillars as a brand. I'm currently also a professor at TCU. I sit on the board, the business board there, specifically at the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute. I'm also part of the investment network there, and I'm also part of the Young Chancellor's Board there. So there are things that is just part of me that I do that just kind of have led me there. And I think people have an interest in the how-tos. And I'm just not there yet. I do enjoy building curriculum. I teach courses at TCU, so it makes sense. But I just haven't really carved out the time to really map out what I have to offer as a service that could really educate and help people. It is so many people are doing how to get to money or how to do, build a business, how to develop this and that. But I just really want to carve up what that niche is for me and just make sure I'm organic with doing that, because it does take a lot of time to do and to develop. And so I have thought about it. I do plan on doing it, but I don't know when that'll be.
As soon as you do, I'm in it.
Absolutely. I think that, I have a passion for education and being able to put that out there in the right way. I just need time to develop it and really understand and try to figure out, what would be the most impactful.
I love that. So, okay, I have a question then, because, we're talking about money and I know sometimes people tend to shy away from numbers and generally, not generally, but I found it to where some people don't feel comfortable talking about money, and let alone asking other businesses for money. But and what would you say to somebody like that? What would you recommend the approach to be when if I wanted to, approach someone about gaining funding for my business?
Yeah, I think the first thing that is often missed is the story. What is the story? Who are you? What is the problem? What problem are you solving? And the why you, right? What is your story? And I think a lot of founders miss that part. You have to have a good story. The product or service that you are proposing has to make sense. And it has to be positioned to where there's a return. There could be a return on investment. And what is the play? Are you looking for equity? Are you looking for debt loan options? I mean, it's so many financing options. All of the money don't have to come from investors, right? It can come so many ways. And I'm not really sure if everyone's really educated on the whole financing options. And also, I've seen founders that get financing options, but those terms are terrible. Mm-hmm. They're pretty much taking your business, right? And so I think it's really just kind of understanding, again, your story, your product or service, and just kind of what it has to offer. When you're asking people to invest in your business, you're really asking them to invest in you. Mm-hmm. And your team matters, who your team is. Another thing that people don't realize is typically businesses pivot all the time. My business partner uses that word all the time, and it's just like, you may go one way and then realize it's not working, and now you have to pivot. And so when investors are looking to invest, they're investing in the team because they know that pivots are going to come. Mm-hmm. Are you going to be able to handle the pivot? Mm. If this is not working, are you going to be able to, if they've given their money, are you going to be able to turn nothing into something? Mm-hmm. And so just kind of understanding those tips can really help as well. Understanding your market. Marketing has changed so much, especially when you're looking at products. COVID in itself. When COVID happened, stores were closing. People did not want to come out. They didn't feel comfortable. The only way you could buy a product for most stores is going online. Mm-hmm. Unless you're the grocery store, right? It's going online. And so there were a lot of stores that were not prepared, that did not have online e-commerce. Mm. So what do? You have to pivot. Mm-hmm. Now all of a sudden you have to have that. And so just really thinking along those lines of all these channels at which people can get to you. How do you plan on marketing? It's not a one-stop shop anymore. And so being able to look at founders and understand that they have the capacity mentally to be able to overcome those barriers and responsible enough with the money to not panic, right? Mm-hmm. Or when you start making money or you get the money 18 months down the road, you decide, I don't want to do this. It's too hard. The mental capacity is a big thing. So those are a couple of things that I think, from the surface are very important.
Wow. That point about pivoting resonates with me so much because I have started other businesses in the past, and whenever they didn't go the way that I wanted them to go, I would want to walk away from them. I didn't know how to adjust and ride that wave. Mm-hmm. Now that I've matured, I know the importance of sticking with it. Right. But yeah, I can definitely relate to that. So Jennifer, in your 15 years of experience in doing this, or probably, is it 15 years or more?
It's about 15. I'm a little on the young side, just a little bit. Just a little bit. But it's almost 15, yes.
Okay. And your 15 years of experience, about how much money do you think that you've helped businesses to acquire?
Oh, wow. And it's so funny because there's an aspect of helping businesses develop to the point where someone wants to invest. Mm-hmm. And then there's the other aspect where I've actually been on the other side helping disperse the funds to invest. And I would definitely say a little bit over $5 million.
Girl!
I would say over the years. Last year alone, I had the privilege of dispersing $1 million.
Wow.
And that was piloting a fund to see. And so that's on the disbursement end. So I think, and just understanding, the networks and where and the introduction and everything that you do, because even us as a firm, we don't have it's not all of our money that goes into this, right? There's different relationships. It's the network. So if you think about the whole network holistically, it's a lot of money to help introduce or disperse or to help guide and get you prepared to the point of, because everyone's not ready for investment when they first come. They may need development the first 6 to 18 months, right? And it's that dating and nurturing along the way to help you get there, because it's really a sales pitch. And if you think about sales cycles, they're anywhere, between 9 and 12 months? Easy.
Yeah. Wow.
Easy.
Yeah. Wow. So, we did not touch on this, but I just kind of want to back up. Like, how did you even get into this?
It was very interesting. As I mentioned, I was helping companies from a product perspective,
Right.
product development. Then it went into helping them manage the product, bringing it to market once it's developed. Then once you get in the weeds with a company, you realize, oh, they need more cash, like they need more money. And so it was the relationships that I had that afforded me the opportunity to reach out and say, hey, are you interested? This company is doing X, Y, and Z. They need about $25,000, $30,000. And then it just kind of kept going up. And then when I started realizing this is a thing, I'm like, this is a whole different line of business. This is more than developing and managing. Like, you're truly managing the whole company, the brand. And so I was asked a couple years ago to work on a small project. And then I worked with a group called Impact Ventures. And that's a social impact fund where they focus on minority women led and BIPOC individuals that are looking for capital. And it's on the fund side. And so I helped develop that fund for a little over a year and found a lot of success in it. And then even working with C2H, that's more of the private equity side and consulting side, but you always find yourself in that space of there's a money issue, I also work a lot with venture groups. I'm part of a lot of venture networks. I sit on the Chancellor's Board at TCU, the Young Chancellor's Board, where we're doing a $50 million campaign. Wow. Same thing for St. Philip's Community School, that's in Dallas, help with their campaign as well. And so I kept finding myself in this space of, I'm not raising the capital, but I'm around people that are looking for capital.
Right.
Which those people hang with those people that have the capital. So It just becomes this whole network. And so I think it just evolved. I think my role just evolved organically. Like I say, I don't raise the capital, but I'm around networks or part of organizations and affiliations that are looking for capital where there's pitching that needs to happen, which means you have to put together a pitch deck. You kind of have to understand your audience, understand your investor profiles. You can get money through foundations, the institutional way, the non-institutional way. There are the 1%ers in the world. There are all these different circles, and just understanding the profiles of these circles and knowing, what they're interested in. Is it tech? Is it real estate? I mean, there's so many layers to this. I think people, founders and entrepreneurs, they forget that too, because sometimes they're pitching to the wrong people. You want this person or this company to invest in you, but their whole portfolio is full of real estate stuff, and you develop apparel. Sometimes it just doesn't speak to them. So I would recommend, founders and entrepreneurs doing their research on the individuals or groups that they are looking to invest in them, because I think they also have a story to tell on who they enter and keep. If they already have 10 apparel groups or 10, real estate or transportation groups, more than likely you'll be the 11th. How much of a focus are you really going to be?
Wow, that's a great point.
So there's little details as you go through the process. And this is my world. I hear the investors talking, and I also hear, the founders talking. So I get the best of both worlds, but there is a formula to this. I just kind of evolved into this role, and it's a thing now.
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
It is a whole thing. Wow, that's incredible. So one of the things that you mentioned that you were most passionate about and wanted to speak about was the power of creating your own seat at the table.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me what you mean by that.
Yeah, I often feel, or I know, I'm just kind of an outcast. I know that. And I'm okay with that. I think that I'm just a unicorn in a lot of ways, in a good way. And sometimes that's not received very well, depending on who you're at the table with. And so the traditional route for me in life just has not been, and I'm okay with that. And when I say traditional, I mean from a professional perspective. It's not the graduate from college, get the $80K a year job, or, working at this large consulting firm in order to elevate to get, my track was not that. I've had to create opportunities that sometimes executives at these companies didn't even see. I've had to propose things that they did not see. I've had to kind of create my own lane in order for even me to be an entrepreneur. in order to go about doing that, and I think there is a lot of power. And then I'm female, right? So I think there's a lot of power with creating your own lane. And for me, it's just a sense of being comfortable. Mm-hmm. And then also, my superpower in my own right. Like I have my own superpower, and being able to showcase that and contribute to that is important, and I think there's aspects of work that I've done that really help give credibility to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So what? Well, I wanted to ask you something. It kind of popped in my head earlier, and it slipped my mind, and now I'm back to it. I wanted to get your opinion on what do you think is the most important part of a pitch for a brand. Whenever they're telling you about their business, what's the part of it that you look for the most?
The need.
The need.
I've heard some. Right now, we get I would imagine about 100 opportunities a quarter.
Wow.
Easy. But only maybe 2 or 3. We probably filter down to 10 to 15 worth talking about.
Wow.
May move on 2 or 3. And so I think people lose sight of everything's a great idea. There's a lot of great ideas out there. And there are a lot of companies out there in business that you're wondering how in the world.
How are they there?
How did they get $1 million for that? Right?
For real.
So some people just get lucky, right? Yeah. But, it's just kind of right alignment, right place, right time, the need. Who's all using it? Is it a neat niche? Some people think there are riches in the niches. Some people don't, And so even, there are groups that I would love to, work with that my partners are like, no. And vice versa, right? Because it's that thing too,
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to really, it's the due diligence of just all the possibilities, worst case scenario, everyone's coming in with their baby. Right, and you are exposing the baby, making it ugly. If you're in, letting them know your baby's ugly because of X, Y, and Z, you may need to change this. And then if you think about, the people that are, a lot of people don't want to hear that.
No, it's painful to hear that you got an ugly baby.
That you have an ugly baby. So you're having to, tell them, okay, and I look at how they respond. Mm-hmm. Are they up for criticism? How quick do they pivot? How do they move? Or if we're telling them something and they don't like it, are they pouting? Because really the reality of it is when people invest time or money in you, it's a sacrifice. So if they're not honoring that, or being respectful enough, and that's both ways, is it really worth doing?
Right.
Because it doesn't mean you're going to make money because you invest in them.
Right. It's a relationship. And so that relational part of it is a huge part to that. So Jennifer, we're nearing the end of our interview, and this has been so good. I've enjoyed having you here so much.
Thank you. I enjoyed being here.
Oh my gosh, you're great. You're great. So I wanted to ask you a couple more questions. And I always ask these questions to my guests. Mm-hmm. So the first question I'd like to ask is, what advice have you received that you would like to share that you have adopted as a part of your daily practice, that maybe you received it at a pivotal point in your career or personal life?
Absolutely. The power of impact. Everything that I touch, I want to provide an impact for. That's personally and professionally, right? And so everything that I do as I'm working with founders, working with my teams, any of the teams, kids, family, all of it, like I'm looking to provide an impact because I think it's important. And I think it's longer lasting, and if I'm not feeling like it's going to provide an impact, whether that's giving money, whether that's helping a business get from point A to point B, whether that's going somewhere, whether that's being part of organizations that I don't feel like I'm just a number and not impact, I don't want to be a part of it. And so, and the reason for that is that we've, through the years, lost some really close people, right? To whether that's death, whether that's to some kind of sickness or just they're just lost, right? And so I think it's important to make the best of the time that we have here. And absolutely. I think that doing that through making sure that you're leaving an impact, whether that's through a, friend-to-friend conversation or whatever the case may be, it's just a longer lasting effect.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
No, that's beautiful. Making every moment impactful if you can.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
living with purpose and intention. No, absolutely. Wow, that's beautiful. So my last question is, what does success then look like to you?
You know, long term, I just see just making an impact on a lot of companies, a lot of people that in turn would help create jobs, that would help women. I have a passion for women and girls. I just do. I see a huge women's fund. I see just an opportunity to speak nationally, internationally, and telling my story in some way, shape, or form, with being able to help more than anything. And so success to me looks like anytime there's progress, you know, along the way from each year, and really just being able to elevate what we've done the previous year and taking it to the next level in your current year or year to come.
Yeah. Being your own being your own competition,
Absolutely.
right? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I see.
That's it. Don't nobody else matter.
Nobody else matters.
I love that. I love that. Wow, Jennifer, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's
Thank you for having me.
Man,
this is awesome.
This was so good.
I know.
I'm gonna go back and listen to this. I can't wait to listen because I'm like, I'm gonna take notes.
Aww.
Like, I mean, you really dropped some jewels here, so I really do appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come here and share all of this information with the audience.
Absolutely. I'm excited. Thank you for having me, Vickie. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you guys, I want to thank you all for choosing to spend your time with us today. This is Vickie reminding you to love everything, everyone, and most importantly, yourself. Thanks and take care.